Hello, my name is Kimberly Kane Richardson, and today I did a video on the speech "I Have a Dream" by Martin Luther King Jr. Actually, the main point of the speech is freedom. He's a famous speaker from the 20th century who spoke about the freedom and the rights for the people who are being mistreated. Now, mistreated can go for racism, being bullied, and etc. Others who stood up against racism, the ones who stood up for what was right. The speech he gave was at Lincoln Memorial in Washington D.C. August 28, 1963. I wanted this specific speech because it speaks the most to my heart. It spoke on what I stood up for, and I'm totally against racism, being mistreated, bullying, etc. There are lots of hate for them for no reason, as in like people were slaves and they didn't want to be slaves, but they're still being mistreated because of the fact that they didn't want to be slaves, but they did what they were told to do, and they were still being mistreated. Also, the African Americans, some Caucasians were bullied because they stood up for something that was right. They were sticking up for the things that were going on, like the slaves, working for people with little pay, not being able to support their families. They were being mistreated. They were water hosed down with powerful water hoses. Also, they had dog attacks. That dogs attacked them by the police. They had little pellet guns. They were being shot towards them. They were literally being killed for trying to be right. Also, they were being beaten by something they didn't do. Just for being a certain color of skin, you were being beaten just because you're that color. There was this group called KKK, and they were really known for being the racist of them all. The white supremacists. They are trying to literally get rid of the black people, but this is not the political game. Also, the main point of the speech, as I said before, is many people wanted freedom from what was going on at that time. They wanted to end the mistreating, the racism, the bullying. They wanted to get rid of all of that. There are many nonverbal cues that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave, like, for example, the tone of his voice. When he talks, he has the passion in what he is saying. He's showing the people that he actually cared instead of just saying stuff off the top of his head just to feed political crap to people. Also, he's not just saying anything that comes to his head. He believes everything that he was saying. So in his tone, in his voice was strong, compassionate, caring, etc. He also looks at the audience in their faces. He wants them to know that he's paying attention to what's really going on during those today times. The incidents that were happening, everything like the water hoses, the dogs, everything like I said before. He also uses hand gestures while he's talking. He's showing the crowd how enthused about his speech he is. Everything that he's saying is his passion. There were also lots of challenges while listening and watching the video of Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, "I Have a Dream," was that there were people talking in the background, agreeing with what he was saying. Some were just having simple conversation. You also had kids that were playing around, maybe little small giggling stuff I heard in the background. So it kind of threw me off of the little things that he was saying because my attention span is kind of small sometimes, small as a dog. But watching the video of Martin Luther King, it was very challenging of the backgrounds. Also the kinds of activities that affected me from listening from was I was thinking of the past. I was thinking of the things that happened to them during the 20th century, like what happened to the fighters, the things that they fought for. For instance, Rosa Parks, she was refusing to give up her seat for a rude Caucasian guy. There were rules between the blacks and the white. The blacks and the whites couldn't share not water hoses. They couldn't share the water sinks, the water fountains. They couldn't share the same bathroom. They couldn't even use the same door. Caucasians, who were the ones who totally was for racism, they went through the front of the door, which is straight, um, which is giving them privileges, and the African Americans had to go through the back, which gave them none privileges. They couldn't sit at the counter. They couldn't sit at certain spots in the stores. in the restaurants. They had to eat certain things off the restaurant. People spitting their food at the restaurant. That's why they had the protest with the riding the seat ride, something like that. Sorry. Um, and there was literally so much going on. I could hear his passion. Also, I could hear his passion on what he believed on getting the people freedom. Things that cannot affect me while listening is when I read along with what he is saying. I was reading along with what he was saying in his speech, and I totally was comprehending and understanding everything that he was saying. I do better when someone is speaking and I'm reading along with what they're saying. It helps me understand what they're saying. I can hear the tone they're using and the right meaning they're intending to have for this of the specific entry of this situation or whatever speech that they're giving. Uh, this is the speech I did on Mr. Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream. Hope you enjoy.